So is it time for Pac-12 play to start? Just kind of.
Well, we've got one more
Yeah.
before that one, but yeah, you know, it's on. It's a good league. That's around the corner, and I don't want to, you know, underestimate the fact that we have a game between now and then. But you know, you have to be careful what you wish for with this league too, because there's a heck of a lot of challenges all the way through. But it's going to be challenging, but it's also going to be a, you know, enjoyable ride. We've got a good group of guys. I think everybody's looking forward to it.
In the first half, you dug into your bench quite a bit. Was that a matter of just testing out rotations, or was it trying to find a little bit of a spark offensively?
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple guys that didn't play in the BYU game, Ahmad and Kenneth, and I thought, you know, deserving this week in practice of getting out there, you know, and mixing it up a little bit, getting the sweat up, you know, trying to jumpstart some of those guys. I think we're going to need somebody to rise up when it gets rolling here, you know, and then obviously you got to give those guys an opportunity if you're dealing with foul trouble and some different things. You got to have confidence within some of your bench, so that was probably the biggest reason more than anything.
Offensively, final 7:46 in the first half, you guys had the single field goal. Started out like 3 of 11 from the field in the second half. What was kind of behind just the little sluggishness on offense during that stretch?
Well, I just don't think we played very hard. I think there's, you know, I think people always try to, you know, determine how hard a team's playing on defense. Defensively, the effort was pretty good. You know, we held them to a low total. They were without their leading scorer, so they were a little bit more dysfunctional. But offensively, I just thought we were kind of going through the motions. We got, you know, probably a few fouls in there that weren't called, and then we got lost dealing with officials. You know, only 3 assists in the first half. I just didn't think we were very aggressive. The zone was kind of a packed-in zone, and we didn't have the same intensity to execute against it that we did in our previous game. And it's kind of a misnomer that you don't have to play hard on offense. We had to be a lot sharper. We had to be mentally tougher. We had some turnovers that we shouldn't have. You put a lot of pressure on yourself. It's not a fun way to play when you're dysfunctional on offense. And you know, fortunately, we added some stretches in the second half where we got things going a little bit.
With that in mind, how big was Brandon Taylor's play in the second half?
It was huge. You know, when we needed buckets, it seemed like Brandon found a way to hit, you know, 2 or 3 big buckets for us. Some nice passing to him. Finally got some assists in the second half. You know, he's a heck of a shooter, and you know, didn't surprise anybody when he started hitting some shots. He's been putting a lot of time in the gym, and he's a weapon from the perimeter. So we need him to get going.
Do you feel like you have an advantage maybe going into Pac-12 by being able to use your rotation players a little bit more to be able to kind of dig deep in that bench and see what they can do?
Well, I mean, we're deeper than we have been in the past. You know, I'm not that familiar with the league and how much depth goes into it, but I've got a lot of faith in our guys, you know, in situations where you need to get into the bench, whether it's fouls or, you know, whatever's taking place on the court. I think our young kids are really starting to grow a little bit right now. They've hit a period, I sense this week, where they're not thinking as much, you know, being in the right spot, because we're not adding a whole lot of offense or any, you know, new plays at this point, and they're kind of absorbing what it is we have in, and I see a little different look in their eyes that they're ready to start shining for us. So that's what we're going to need.
What did you see out of Kenneth and Ahmad? You know, just kind of overall today.
Well, you know, still a little bit of uncertainty. You still kind of see the freshman, you know, the freshmen look a little bit, some confusion and a little anxiety, but that's the only way you can really get through that is to get some minutes and get some reps on the court. You know, both high energy guys have had a great week of practice and gave us a big boost in practice, and now it's time to, like, you know, I think back last year with Dakari and Brandon and J.O. and some of those guys didn't even get in games, you know, early on, but they kind of stayed in the fight and started to make some improvements. And again, I think our young kids are starting to go through that process where they're starting to blossom a little bit and gain some confidence.
St. Catherine's, do you want to give these guys a little bit of more time against St. Catherine's and kind of, use that as one last tune-up to kind of look at your rotation a little bit?
Well, I mean, I'm before we think about St. Catherine's, we're going to enjoy some time off, get our guys with their families, and everybody kind of charge their battery up again. We've been going since end of September, and it's been pretty intense, and we got a lot of games in. There's not a lot of teams in the country that have played 11 games, and so now we get to reap some of the benefits, and hopefully guys enjoy some family time, and then we'll have 2 or 3 practices before St. Catherine's and get everything ready to roll, and then some of the game plans are on. So I can't predict exactly what's going to happen in that game, but you'd like to think that we'd have an opportunity for some guys to get out and play a part in it.
One thing that really stood out tonight is from the free throw line is the team you were 29-24 from the line. What kind of progress have you seen from free throw shooting that you're pleased with?
Well, I thought we had 2 games where we, it's contagious. 2 games earlier in the year where we were around 50%. You miss a couple. If I remember at Boise was a game where we missed a lot of free throws, and guys have to work through it. We've been, we've addressed it. We've got a number of free throws, shooting in practice. We probably spent 20 minutes a day shooting free throws at the end of shoot around and getting guys comfortable up there. It's going to be a key component to success in our conference. It's there's a lot of close games, and that's one of those issues that can come back to haunt you. So we're climbing up a little bit. Our team's improving, and I don't know where we are now, but I know we've made some pretty good advances with it. It seems like guys are comfortable when they're standing up there.
So what does it mean for the program to be 10-1 at this point, and to know that your only loss was only by 2 points?
Well, it's I've used the comment a lot that you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. I don't judge a lot of it on wins and losses. It feels good going into a holiday to have some success, but can't be comfortable, and we've got a long way to go. We didn't do a very good job of defending the post, and as we move into Pac-12 play, there's a lot of big dudes out there, and we're going to have to figure out a way to guard them a lot better than we guarded Texas State tonight. But there's some deficiencies, and the goal all along is just keep getting better every day when you have a chance to do so.
Larry, does that milestone of getting the 10 wins mean anything yet? This is the fastest the Utah team's done that since '98 when they went to the NCAA finals. They started off 10-0. You've done it in 11 games. Does that mean anything?
Not really. It was, we keep track of the wins on our board and have the player of the game change the number.
Right.
And we've got the number of wins on one side and the days left until the championship game of the Pac-12 tournament, and those numbers are getting closer together. I noticed it tonight when Brandon changed the number that it was double digits.
Right.
So it's good stuff, but we've got a ways to go, and there's going to be a lot of challenging ones, and has a lot more to do with the next one than it does, the past 11.
Right.
But it's a much better taste, I think, in everybody's mouth. It's kind of validating a lot of the effort, and we've been in a variety of different games and had a couple games where we could have lost them, and maybe we would have in the past, but we figured out a way to pull through it and get over the hump.
And then you talk about bouncing back from an emotional game like BYU. How do you think the guys handled bouncing back from such an emotional victory like you had?
It was hard.
Saturday?
It's hard. It's human nature. You see it a lot. There's a lot of energy in that building on Saturday night. I was glad that we had some practices. We had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I thought we kind of got, the longer it is, further ago that was, it seems like it gets easier and easier. But I know it felt awfully good on Sunday and Monday, and I wouldn't have wanted to be playing on Tuesday like we did against Idaho State. But we've got a good group of guys. You wouldn't have sensed if you came to any practice that they were, starting to feel pretty, overconfident or fat and sassy about what they've done. But there's just no taking away the fact that it was a great win for our program.